It is officially Arch Thursday. We've been looking forward to this for a long time, guys. They reached out to us last week and said, yo, we got some huge updates coming. And turns out the updates was a Series A. It was led by Pantera. Pantera, $13 million in funding. Absolutely insane. But it's not really about the money, right? The money is awesome for Runway. But this is a head nod from big investors. This is a head nod from VCs to kind of look at Arch and say, we believe in you. Right, we believe in you, and we're putting our money where our mouth is, and that is one of the biggest things that I got from this Series A round with Pantera. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, it's a validation, right? When you are able to raise that capital, it means you're doing something right. Your founders are building, but they're also putting in the infrastructure in the organization, and that means they'll be around. It's not just they're not trying to mass extract, right? They're building something that people believe in, and it's going to be around, and it gives them the capability to continue building great things. So I'm excited to see what they have going on.
Yep. Let's get it started. Let's bring up Nick. Nick, welcome back to OnChain Revolution. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
Hey guys, how's it going? Glad to be here. What a crazy week. Yeah. Hey, Derik.
Yeah, man, it's been absolutely wild for you guys. I'm curious, like how the last month has been for you guys, because I know this stuff doesn't happen overnight, right? This is something that you guys probably put a lot of work in. Could you kind of jump into some of that of like what happens behind the scenes on a Series A like this?
Yeah, I mean, look, it is a process from marketing to operations. Every facet of the business is involved. Hopefully we'll have Matt on here to talk a little bit more about that. But it's a real group effort. It's not just when you're talking about layer one project that's building like a true ecosystem on Bitcoin like we are. It's not just about you. It never is. It's always about the apps that are building on you and what it's going to embody for these developers, for these true creators, right? And so that process of bringing everybody together to make an announcement like this successful is definitely a lot of coordination, a lot of movement. Thankfully, we have really good supporters in our corner, some of which your listeners will meet today. So super excited about the way these players just all came together to help us make this launch a success.
Yeah, man, absolutely huge. You got Pantera, but there's a lot of other ones in there as well. Dan Held, someone that I've been following for a long time, is a part of that as well. So really awesome to be able to talk to him in a bit. But where do you want to go next? Or first, should I say?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I want to cede the stage to them because it's people like Dan Held, obviously huge Bitcoin guy from the very beginning, someone who's built a lot in the space. Also a really genius marketing mind. So, you can definitely pick his brain on that. But he now invests in Bitcoin ecosystem and was one of the first investors in Arch through Asymmetric. And so he is someone who, just genius at this. Super excited to have him here today, as well as the good folks at DPI Capital, including Brent Fisher, who DPI, like a lot of our investors, frankly, but they've taken a really special focus on our ecosystem and are kind of aiding, enabling some of these projects that are building on us to get them off the ground, and super excited to have them. And I think what's just been really cool about all of this is that the vision of a actually liquid native Bitcoin experience is one that all the people here believe in and are like really putting their weight behind, both financially, but even more importantly, with their resources, time, and energy. So that's what's so exciting about, the traction that we've had. Amazing launch. So many great people. If any of you joined like the X Spaces that we did immediately after the announcement, I mean, it was just like a laundry list of people who've been like, just killers in this space and building on Bitcoin the last 2 years ever since Ordinal's theory came out. So super excited to see the floor to just really Dan and the rest of the folks, Brent and the others.
Well, Nick, since we got you here, man, you're the marketing guy, right? I've heard about Arch Network for a while, but I didn't really have an opportunity to, really dive deep into it until there was a app that was built on top of your platform called FunkyBit, which, me being a degen in the Bitcoin ecosystem, I had to get on board when they launched. And so then that made me kind of do some research on your platform. But for the people who are here that may not know much about Arch, Just give us a brief overview about what you're building, what makes it unique.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're building the permissionless financial rails for the Bitcoin denominated world, right? And so what does that mean? That means that having an actually decentralized way, permissionless way for us all to participate in the true Bitcoin economy. I mean, Bitcoin has been amazing. Originally came out, and Dan can talk about this more as someone who was having these discussions back in 2013, 14 in San Francisco. But, it came out as this way to transfer currency, direct payments, and, do that outside of the existing infrastructure that existed in some centralized operators. And all this does is it creates another way for you to use that digital gold and actually, make it more productive and make it more programmable, right? So you mentioned FunkyBit, great app, be able to build Bitcoin meme coins. It solves the liquidity problem, makes it much easier for you to spin up a rune and to crowdfund it and community. And then also to be able to, transmit that into, an asset that can be played around with, right? And obviously meme coin launch pads aren't the end goal. They aren't the only thing, but they are a fun start. And it just goes to show that, people have an appetite to do more on Bitcoin, on the mother chain. And what Arch does that maybe like a layer 2 doesn't, or these other things, is it makes it a truly much more of a native experience where you can do it straight out of your Bitcoin wallet. You don't have to bridge your assets. That theory just hasn't worked. You see all these L2s, and what happens is, one, Bitcoiners really care about the security and don't want to play on L2. But two, how do you pick one? They're not differentiated. There's just all these different L2s. You're fracturing liquidity, and you're making it so that there isn't really a true Bitcoin ecosystem emerging. And what I think was just killer about, the brainchild that Amin and Matt came up with here, the two co-founders, is a way to be able to do this on the base layer that's much more interactive, that's much more native, so that people can actually keep that liquidity of Bitcoin, let it flow, and have it be interoperable with other Bitcoin apps. So that we're not just living on Bitcoin app islands, but actually creating a true community here. So I think that's what's exciting about it. And I think that's why we've gotten so much traction early on.
Nice.
Oh, man. Love it. That's a great breakdown. 100%. Let's bring up Dan Held. Dan, welcome to OnChain Revolution. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah, man. I've been following you, Dan, for a long time. I got into crypto probably around 2020 January, and the first person that I found that kind of got me in the Bitcoin, for instance, was Anthony Pompliano, followed by What Bitcoin Did podcast, and you were actually one of the first episodes that I seen, and that episode was Bitcoin's monetary policy, right?
Oh,
and
cool.
Back then, you were that was an awesome episode. I think it was probably one of the top the first 10 episodes of that. And but back then you were a Bitcoin maxi, and then around 2022 you kind of became, you went, as in your words, you said Bitcoin maximalist to Bitcoin rationalist. I was wondering like the mindset of that. Can you just kind of speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, that's a great question. So first and foremost, Bitcoin is my sole priority. I still think Bitcoin is the most important thing here by a huge mile. I think the prices in the market also reflect that currently, as more and more folks are realizing it's Bitcoin and then there's everything else. But it doesn't mean that like Bitcoin is the only thing and that there isn't some interesting things that are occurring. And so I came to this conclusion after spending time in the Ethereum ecosystem and Solana ecosystem at Solana Breakpoint, NFT NYC, and saw some really interesting things. So Bitcoin's primary user acquisition method, going back to a marketing terminology here, has been through speculation. The speculative waves of 2013, 2017, and 2021 drove a vast majority of Bitcoin adoption. It's an uncomfortable truth, but it's a truth, and it's undeniable, to where most people come for the speculation and stay for the sound money. Now, not as many people come for the speculation that stay for the sound money. Like most people come and speculate and only a few remain, and that's why Bitcoin's price drops after these cycles. However, that's the primary acquisition method. What I noticed about NFTs and other assets on Ethereum was that these other types of financial instruments, whether it be NFTs, which are a unique asset type, NFTs don't compete with Bitcoin. It's like saying that art competes with Bitcoin, which would be silly to say. NFTs, governance tokens, which resemble some forms of equity, these are other asset types that give different audiences, again, going back to marketing terms, audiences exposure to Ethereum. So I was at NFT NYC and I noticed these artists. I was talking to these artists and they were talking to me and they go, well, I bought this NFT for 0.1 ETH. I flipped it for 0.3. And these artists have no idea how Bitcoin or Ethereum works. But now they're thinking in the Ethereum standard. They're quoting their P&L, their profit and loss, or the money in their wallet as an Ethereum balance, like Ethereum as their unit of account. And that really kind of shook me a little bit. And I was like, you know what? These people may never understand Bitcoin because they got exposed to Ethereum in this fashion, this speculative fashion. Bringing DeFi or these speculative instruments to Bitcoin increases Bitcoin's acquisition velocity. It increases Bitcoin's dominance within the crypto sector. And so for me, DeFi on top of Bitcoin is an incredibly, it's a multiplier effect on Bitcoin's already strong acquisition method, which is the spot trading, Bitcoin's spot price going up. And also it fulfills, I think, Bitcoin's long-term promise as this money, this gold 2.0, with different layers of a financial system built on top of it, lending, borrowing, Bitcoin being used as collateral to secure other networks, Bitcoin being used as a proof of stake asset to secure other chains. All of these, I think, fulfill Bitcoin's ultimate vision of being gold 2.0. If you have the best reserve asset, the best collateral in the world, this pristine piece of collateral with a monetary policy that we absolutely trust more than any other monetary policy on the planet, why wouldn't I want to use that to collateralize a loan? Why wouldn't I use that to secure a network? So for me, Bitcoin DeFi fulfills Bitcoin's ultimate purpose. And this is where I break away from more of like the traditional Bitcoin maximalists. I would call those like Bitcoin Puritans, where they believe Bitcoin's block space should only be used for transactions, like day-to-day coffee payments. Well, that's actually very analogous to how the Bitcoin cashers referred to Bitcoin, and they were also wrong about that. Bitcoin's block space is scarce, and that scarce block space means that only high-value transactions, which will either be large Bitcoin value transactions or DeFi transactions, will be the primary bidders of Bitcoin block space. Layer twos, which are things that we invest in at Asymmetric, will shoulder most of the burden of Bitcoin's usage over time. The Puritans also ignore a fundamental part of Bitcoin, which is that Bitcoin's entire history of Bitcoin's block space has been filled with speculative transactions. Bitcoin's earliest block space usage was for gambling and for drug purchases. There was never a Bitcoin, and I've been there since almost the beginning, since 2012. There was never this utopia where Bitcoin was being used to buy coffees and that was a predominant portion of Bitcoin block space usage. No, it was always speculation and other activities that, by the way, this adheres to Bitcoin's basic use case. It's a asset where we completely trust the monetary policy. It's the most credible monetary policy on the planet. You can store it in a way that's extremely hard to seize. It's like a Swiss bank account, and you can't censor it. So transactions like for the Silk Road were a great use case for that. But using Bitcoin for coffee payments doesn't make much sense. I know there's a very long-winded way to answer your question, but I had to cover a couple different components of that.
No, I thought it was perfect, man. It was like poetry to me. I love it. It's awesome again to have you here. Like I said, I've been following you for a long time, but you guys are over at Asymmetric. You guys are an investment firm, right? And originally you guys did some DeFi stuff over on Ethereum, but now you seem to be mainly staying on the Bitcoin with the L2s, and now with Arch. And one of the biggest problems with the Bitcoin L2s is why use an L2 when the Bitcoin block, the mempool is. There's nothing there, right? So why would you use an L2? The whole point of an L2 is to help L1. So with Arch, do you see potentially Arch being that the thing that runs on top of Bitcoin that actually could be very successful?
Yeah, so a couple of things here. One, Asymmetric is a firm created by Joe McCann. Joe and I are the co-GPs of the Asymmetric Bitcoin DeFi Venture Fund. It's one of the funds within the firm. There was a previous venture fund that's fully deployed, and they deployed over on Ethereum and Solana, mostly Solana dApps. Joe and I have a very strong thesis with Bitcoin DeFi to where we believe that this is one of the most asymmetric opportunities in the space. And when we started the fund, it was largely ignored. There was very few folks allocating capital to this category. Joe is a very contrarian thinker. He was very early on meme coins and Solana and Bitcoin DeFi. So we shared that same thesis with Bitcoin DeFi, and that's where I run the Bitcoin DeFi Venture Fund. But I want to make sure we highlight Joe's involvement here. Regarding Arch and what I would call meta protocols, So you have Bitcoin L1, which is the Bitcoin base layer. You have Bitcoin L2, which are layer twos, and those can be in a variety of different forms, like Lightning, which is a state channel, or you have a side chain, which would be like RSK, like Rootstock or Liquid. For folks who are more Ethereum oriented, this would be like early Polygon. For meta protocols, we're incredibly bullish, and we think this is an underappreciated category within Bitcoin DeFi. And so Arch, we would bucket under meta protocols. I know that sometimes I think they kind of struggle to think about how they position themselves, whether it be an L2 or meta protocol. However, what a meta protocol is are you all familiar with ordinals? Have you guys played around with that at all?
Yeah. Well, we used to be Ordinal Revolution, and then recently just became OnChain Revolution. We covered Ordinal since
cool.
April of 2023. So yeah, we're definitely familiar with that.
Oh yeah.
For folks who don't know, the people listening to this, so basically how ordinals work or meta protocols work on Bitcoin is, imagine we're all wearing augmented reality glasses and we're observing the Bitcoin base layer. The Bitcoin base layer doesn't know we're wearing augmented reality glasses, nor does it care. But we're all wearing these augmented reality glasses that are running the same indexer or software, which means that we all interpret layer one activities in a different way. So when we look at the Bitcoin base layer wearing the same augmented reality glasses, we are seeing transactions occur, and we are subjectively assigning value that doesn't exist on the Bitcoin base layer. We are agreeing that me sending a transaction to Derik represents not just a value, a Bitcoin value, but an NFT or some other asset type. So that's what a meta protocol is it sort of allows you to be a layer in between an L1 and L2, which is quite unique. And I think Bitcoin was the first protocol to really do this. Casey Rotomore was the inventor of ordinals, and I think it was a pretty cool breakthrough. So with Arch, Arch touches on this to some extent, and we think this is a really cool sector to be in, because you can have people interacting with smart contracts, with Bitcoin DeFi without having to leave layer one. Now, to answer your question that you asked, how do we kind of see the balance between L1 and L2 activities? Well, this is an equilibrium sort of thing where we think, of course, you've got fixed block space on the Bitcoin blockchain, and there's variable demand. Now, naturally, if demand increases and climbs, which we hope it does over time, that should increase the transaction fee cost, because a lot of people want to get into a Bitcoin block, and so a lot of people will bid for that. As that goes higher, that'll bump lower value transaction types to layer twos. So people will wrap their ordinal assets, or they'll do Lightning, for example, would be like a Bitcoin, layer two sort of just transaction where people are just moving small amounts back and forth. So we see it as an equilibrium where it's not, will it all happen on L1 or L2s? We think it'll be both. Where the predominant gating mechanism for will this happen on L1 or L2, the predominant gating mechanism will be, well, how much of a value of this transaction is it? For example, if I'm sending $10 million, I'm going to pay a $100 transaction fee to have it settle on the Bitcoin base layer. If I'm sending $1,000, I don't mind if the game theoretic security on that L2 is a little weaker than my security guarantees in Bitcoin L1. So long story short, it's an equilibrium, and we see a huge blossoming of activity likely occurring on both L1 and L2. Meta protocols tap into Bitcoin L1 activity.
Yeah, great answer. I 100% agree. I think that what Arch is doing is another basically another way of doing it, right? The L2s are awesome. They're proven. The EVM route works. What Arch is doing is awesome because no one's really doing it. Like it's different on so many levels of rolling up the transactions and actually putting them into a Bitcoin block.
Yeah, there's a variety of different ways that people have constructed meta protocols and L2s. So, we think we're huge believers in the team. Matt, super sharp. When we look, so Asymmetric Bitcoin DeFi Venture Fund is an early stage venture fund. So when we look at early stage deals, we have the technical implementation, right? But you have the founders, and that's what we really focus on. Are these founders the ones who are going to make this happen? Anyone can talk about an idea, but is this the right team to make it happen? And Matt and team, these folks are super solid. We love Matt, really sharp guy. And these are the types of folks building an L2 or a meta protocol is extremely difficult. One, you've got to raise enough capital to be able to go build a very technical, game theoretically sound infrastructure. You have to entice dApp developers to come build. You have to create incentives to get users to come consider your meta protocol or L2. And so when we look at founders, they have to be really multifaceted here of their ability to sell the narrative and to sell their vision and get people to come build and use on their protocol. So yeah, for Arch itself, we again think that the meta protocol space is really underappreciated. So we like the game theoretic architecture that they've sort of built where, you've got some, for example, like it is a meta protocol, but at the same time, transactions on the Arch network exclusively are much faster. So it really depends on, for us, we think there's going to be multiple winners in this category to where we're not overly prescribed to any one technical implementation. We are betting on multiple founders in each category because we are looking at different ways that people can build L2s in meta protocols.
I think that's extremely important not to be locked in on any one particular protocol because there's so many developments happening right now. And as you go about doing your research for new investments into these meta protocols, what type of things are you doing? Like, are you playing around on the platform first and kind of digging down into the documentation? Like, how do you find the new and things happening?
That's a great question. So a lot of these are, just white papers or we're early stage. So we really index very heavily on the team. And then the idea itself, sometimes when we invest, the idea is still in like white paper stage. Sometimes it's been, it's in testnet. Because we're so early, we're typically there before mainnet. I don't know of a time when we invested before mainnet. So it's quite difficult for us to actually play around at these things. In terms of our due diligence, though, like we're really close with a lot of technical folks, including Bitcoin core developers, Bitcoin Layers team. I don't know if you guys know what Bitcoin Layers is. Bitcoin Layers, they cover different Bitcoin L2s and meta protocols and are super technical and I think we appreciate their dose of cold water on a lot of these ideas. We think their technical expertise is phenomenal. I think they under-index on marketing and narratives, but we appreciate this cold, hard, rational take on L2s and their security, like their security issues that they could have. So we interact with technical folks. When it does hit testnet, mainnet, we are able to test out different dApps and play around with it. And then we also have an internal technical team as well that review the white paper and technical code. For us, we take that technical deep dive, combine it with our state of understanding of other L2s and meta protocols in the category. And if we think that's a nice fit, or if we like the game theoretic trade-offs that they've made. And then team fit, of course, we look for founders that are going to go pound their head against a brick wall until it turns into dust over the next 5 to 10 years. I've been a founder twice. It's a fucking grueling exercise. What's funny is I found, now that I'm a venture capitalist, I found that most VCs have never been founders, which is kind of wild to me. I don't understand how you could be a VC and never been a founder, but I intimately understand what it takes to be a good founder, and I know what good founders look like. After spending 10 years in the Bay Area as well and seeing thousands of founders, whether they be my friends or colleagues, et cetera, I see what good looks like. And so we look for that in the founders, that grit, that ability to convince other people to join their cause, whether it be investors, employees, or BD partners. They have to wax a pretty poetic narrative and be very convincing because they have to convince a lot of people to come work on this. So that's what I look for personally in the DD process, is I can suss that out from a founder perspective. Also, of course, we dig into deep details of reaching out to their former colleagues, asking, what do you feel about this person as an individual? Of course, their background comes into play here. We typically invest in founders that have a couple co-founders. We invest in companies that have a couple co-founders. It's pretty hard to be a solo founder, very, very difficult. And usually you want a mix of a couple co-founders. Like, of course, you have to have your technical founder and then others who might be better on like growth or marketing. We think that's a really potent mix in talent.
Yeah, man. I love that. So I guess, like, what do you guys see in the guys from Arch? What do you guys see in Matt and Amin?
Matt is relentless. So I think anyone who's met Matt can attest to that, whether it be hustling to get dApps to build on top of them, whether it be his ability to go fundraise, attracting top talent within the company. His relentlessness, I think, is what it takes is what is necessary to succeed. Nick is a brilliant marketer, by the way, with Asymmetric, with our portfolio companies too. Given that my background, I was formerly head of marketing at Kraken and worked at companies like Uber headquarters as well. I come from a user acquisition growth marketing background. So, we definitely give the time we need with founders and their teams to jam on different go-to-market strategies. So we're pretty involved there as well. But yeah, Nick's brilliant over on the Arch side. And then Amin, really brilliant technical founder. So all around, love the team.
Yeah, 100% agree. Definitely really awesome to get your opinion on that. Really appreciate you spending the time with us, man. But we'll let you go for some other guys. But any last words?
Well, thanks for having me. And look, I think Bitcoin DeFi, if you're listening to this right now and you're curious about it, Bitcoin DeFi, I've been in this space 12 years. It will be the biggest opportunity ever to exist in crypto. I mean, you're looking at Bitcoin TVL right now, like how much Bitcoin is locked into DeFi, as an extremely small percentage of Bitcoin's market capitalization, like 0.1%. Bitcoin, if that gets unlocked and that it reaches Ethereum's level of TVL, which is like 30%, you could see these Bitcoin protocols be worth billions or tens of billions of dollars. These are incredibly huge developments. Bitcoin L2s are valued very low compared to Ethereum L2s, and Ethereum L2s support a much smaller chain. So if Bitcoin DeFi can be unlocked, this will be one of the biggest opportunities ever to exist in the space. That's why I'm so bullish on it. That's why at Asymmetric, we're so bullish on the category. But yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for having me. And if for folks who are curious, follow me at Dan Held or danheld.com if you want to read more about Bitcoin DeFi.
Yeah, man. 100%. Thank you so much, Dan.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Dan.
All right. Let's bring up the next guys here. That was amazing, man. What's your thoughts?
Dude, it's so important to have VCs in this space around ordinals and Bitcoin. I mean, because it just gives incentives to builders to keep building, man. You got to have that. And shout out to Dan and Asymmetric for providing these avenues for these great tech builders to keep doing their thing. There's got to be an end goal, and shout out to Arch Network for, being able to raise that money. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, without venture capitalists, there'd probably be 90% less builders, right? Without funding, these builders can't take their vision and put it down, right? Put it down in code. So it's awesome that Dan believes in Arch. Just like it's really cool, kind of seeing like Pantera, Dan, and a lot of these other guys in the Series A all truly believe in Arch. It was really awesome to hear him say that. So. But let's get into the next one. Another VC fund. We got DPI Capital. Brent Fisher, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
What's up, Brent?
Hey, how are you guys?
Good, man. Good. I've been looking into DPI. We had Arch about 2 weeks ago come on, and they were kind of telling us about how you're not only investing with Arch, but you're actually taking a deep dive into a lot of these builders that are building on Arch.
Yeah, we've kind of become a quasi ecosystem fund for Arch Network. I've been in the space since 2013 as well. Started as buying Bitcoin retail, like most people did around that time period. Went into investing into Ethereum and other dApps in the Ethereum ecosystem. Always was an angel investor, but last year I decided to start a fund. I've been an LP in a handful of crypto funds leading up to that. And then while we were doing fund formation, we started looking at deals to warehouse, kind of wanted to get our deal flow management processes in place, figure out top of the funnel, show LPs, what kind of portfolio we were looking at. And we really started as generalists because both my partner and I have, over a decade of experience in the space. We figure we can look for good opportunities, identify them, and, make the investment accordingly. Ran into Matt. About after 3 warehouse deals, small checks, ran into Matt and Arch Network, and knew within the first 5 minutes that we were going to make the investment. I really didn't need to do any due diligence.
Wow.
I'm actually better investing when there's less data, to be quite honest. I'm an early stage angel investor. I could do it with a 1-pager in 15 minutes with a founder. I've been really successful with that model. So actually data sometimes distracts me, to be quite honest. It can get in the way of making quality investments. I knew what he had was special. I knew that he was special. I knew Amin was special. the team that they were building was special. But yeah, within 10 minutes, I was like, all right, well, where do I send the money? How much can I get?
Awesome.
Kind of thought for about 2-3 weeks, kept talking with him as we were also looking at other deals, and started feeling like the other deals were just looking more Mickey Mouse every day as I leaned into Arch, and I kind of started feeling like the EVM world was a game of whack-a-mole, I actually kind of just said to him, hey, what if we just start investing in every dApp that you think's a pillar in your ecosystem? And he goes, sure, I'll introduce you to the guys at Saturn. And so we met with them and wrote a check to them, and then it's kind of formalized it over the last couple months of let's just do this together. And they created Keystone, their incubator / accelerator. We write the first check to and we use them for the vetting process. We actually we lean on them a lot for helping us decide where this money should be allocated, because it's their baby. The Arch network is their thing, and we just want to support it as much as possible. And we have the utmost trust in the team, in Matt especially. So yeah, I take a little bit different take on it than Dan probably, as far as I don't really think diversification is a great idea if you know what you know and you find something great. So I think Warren Buffett said, something of that nature. Diversification for the sake of diversification doesn't mitigate risk. He said something a little different, but I don't want to actually quote him because I think it's a little bit harsher. Yeah, I mean, I think that Arch has the ability. I think that Arch has the ability to eliminate basically all other L1s, including Ethereum. Because if you start looking at, well, I think Dan mentioned unlocking, BTC into the Arch network, getting the TVL. I mean, there's billions and billions of dollars, and we're talking to institutional. I think that's one good thing that Matt did right away too, is figure out an institutional play with Anchorage, and I think that's huge because I think we will bring in institutional TVL rather quickly. And yeah, I think that if you start thinking about it, if you're going to do DeFi, what would you rather have as the underlying asset, right? Would you rather have Solana, Ethereum, or Bitcoin? I think Bitcoin, right? So I think at the end of the day, Arch, I like I said, I've been around the space since 2013. I haven't seen anything like Arch since Ethereum launched in 2013. So I remember I was at BTC Miami when Vitalik got up and made the presentation, and half the crowd booed. And I think that Arch Network combines the best of both worlds, right? DeFi, but with Bitcoin as the underlying asset. So I think that we'll see Arch rise in the rankings of market cap, and I would like to see it within 3 years be number 2 behind Bitcoin.
Wow.
Yeah, 100. That's incredible. You got a question, Derik?
Yeah, that's very high regard, Brent, for Arch Network. Definitely, you see something in them which is amazing. Shout out to Matt for convincing you on the first conversation, man. That's pretty awesome. But you know what man, and I like what you have to say about Arch Network, and it makes me want to do a deeper dive, especially the part about the institutional funds, because I believe that's the most important indicator for mass adoption for Bitcoin, is bringing in those institutional funds. Do you have any more information about how or that's gonna happen?
Yeah, well, Matt, Arch has made a partnership with Anchorage. So you got institutional grade custody there, but it is self-custody in the sense that you're still using the Arch's stateless vault, but with Anchorage. And for them, there's a basic delta neutral strategy that Matt has created, that Arch has created, that will give them somewhere around 10%, 12% range. Very safe, low risk. But I think over time, as we build these pillars out, the borrowing, lending, the buy now, pay later, the perps desk, the RWA, which is being built right now, I think some of these things will offer higher risk profiles, but still very safe. But you can, maybe take 10% of let's just say ARK, right? Like, Kathy Wood can take 10% of her 4.4 billion. She can put the 4.4 billion into a delta neutral strategy, but she can take 10%, and dabble in some of these other yield strategies that might get her 15, 20%, maybe even higher sometimes. So and I think like some of this stuff is going to work two ways, right? It's a two-way street. So like RWAs, and I think our RWA that we're building will bring in probably 3 to 5 billion in assets within the first 12 months. because they can over collateralize the tokenized RWA asset that they have and then participate in Bitcoin yield, right? So I'm on the board of Smart Gold, which is a $600 million gold fund that is tokenizing on Shintai. We're going to bring that into, because Shintai is the back end of Arch's RWA. We're going to bring that in to the Arch network, right? And what they want to do is over collateralize their gold and then participate in Bitcoin Arch yield. So I think it's going to work both ways. You know, you're going to see Bitcoin participants come in and be able to leverage their Bitcoin and participate in RWAs and get yield on REITs or yield on other yield products that diversifies their portfolio a little bit. And then, of course, you know, all of you have held Bitcoin for a long time. You know, there really hasn't been anything you could do with it. So this is a unique opportunity that I have, you know, a lot of good friends that have been holding since 2012, 2013. And they're like, wow, I can finally get some yield. I can actually make money without selling it, because, you know, you feel horrible to sell your Bitcoin, you know, and a year later it's double, triple. And, you know, it's an emotional experience to have to sell any Bitcoin at all. So this is an opportunity for them to actually, you know, pay their rent, pay their mortgages, you know, maybe start a business, whatever it may be. So I think that you're going to see a lot more retail customers want to come into Bitcoin because there's a utility factor now that you can get yield, do something with it. And then the institutionals, I think it will be table stakes. I mean, the first institutional ETF that comes into this and can offer 10, 12%. I mean, the outflows of every other one is going to go inflow into whatever one's doing this. So it'll become table stakes right away. So Michael Saylor can pay his convertible notes with this, right?
So at this point, do you think it is inevitable that they'll have success bringing in institutional capital, or is it still kind of in theory?
No, it's inevitable. They're the only Bitcoin native. They're the only ones where that the stateless vault gives you the custody where you can see. You don't have to bridge. You don't have to wrap. I mean, I don't think that, you know, Michael Saylor or Kathy Wood are going to do a bridge or wrap their Bitcoin and give it to somebody to get 10%. That's just too much risk. I actually think that they probably have in their LPAs that they can't do that. So there's probably custodial insurance and liabilities and so forth. I think with Anchorage, everybody knows Anchorage. Everybody respects them. All of the institutionals have used them on some level or are using them today. So I think that that was probably a perfect marriage for Arch. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's inevitable. Yeah. And that's, I guess, where I differ from a lot of VCs right now is I don't see any other option but this. And I kind of see this eliminating pretty much everything else.
Incredible. So potentially I'll be able to get an RWA version of gold and putting in an LP with Bitcoin on Saturn and earn yield on a gold Bitcoin LP.
100%. Or you can go to Arch's perp desk and bet against, you know, Bitcoin, have Bitcoin on one side of the trade and gold on the other, right? So yeah, we'll have plenty of options for you, Shizzy.
I love it, man. I love it. This is incredible. Amazing. But like you didn't just get in bed with Arch. You got deep. I mean, you're in Funky Bit, it looks like. You're in Saturn, you're in Ordees, you're in most of the top projects that Arch is giving. How do you do research? Did you meet all these founders, or is this kind of Arch telling you like, hey, we believe in this, and you just kind of trusting Arch?
Yeah, I think that, you know, I have a really good relationship with Matt, and we kind of just talk through it. And, you know, sometimes we go back and forth, and I respect him a lot. He respects me a lot. So I think sometimes it's just a conversation. There's other people that are involved. Caleb, who's the head of Keystone, who's amazing. Shahan, who's my other GP and my partner. He weighs in. Nick, you know, I think Amin a lot of times will assess the technology. So we make decisions based on what Amin says. It's a collaborative effort. I think once we have consensus, though, then we are like, okay, we'll give them a check and we'll give them all the support they need to build on Arch, and let's help them and let's move forward. Yeah.
Your confidence gets me so much more bullish on Arch, man. This is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I pivoted my entire fund. I will not invest in anything except for the Arch network ecosystem now from here on out.
Yeah, man. We got a super chat. Shout out to On with Sean. He says Arch Network is the application layer for Bitcoin. Bitcoin native dApps are coming thanks to Arch. Love DPI Capital. Side note: Brent Fisher makes it hard to concentrate because he's so ridiculously good looking. So thank you. You got us $21. I appreciate your good looks today.
That's my other GP. He's my partner. So I figured he was going to do something like that.
Absolutely amazing, Brent. Man, it's been great to meet you. I would love to do like a full full episode on you, man. It's so great to talk to you. But I'd love to give you stage one last time before we go after and talk to Hex.
Go ahead. What?
No, I said I'd love to give you stage one
Oh,
last time to kind of talk to our viewers. Maybe tell them where to come find you or any last words.
Oh, yeah. It's DPI Capital.io. And obviously bfish411 on Telegram and Twitter, sorry, on X. I've been in this space since 2013. I'll tell you this. I've been in this space since 2013. I've been an investor. I've been an LP. Now with a VC fund, as GP of my own VC fund. This is the first podcast I've ever done. I do not get up on panels. I am a very private person. I've kept anonymity for over a decade in this space. But I am so bullish on this, and Nick asked me to come on, so I said, okay, I'll do it. But I told a couple friends that I was coming on a podcast, and they're like, no way, you're coming out from behind the curtain for the first time. And I was like, yeah, this is it. So
after this one, you're gonna get a whole lot of requests. I'd tell you that.
Yeah, man. Good. No problem. I appreciate you guys having me, and I'll come on anytime. Just let me know.
Yeah, you might be my another co-host, man. It's just been awesome to talk to you, and you did an amazing job, by the way. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Right. Yeah. Good to meet you.
Right.
All right.
Absolutely
energy,
amazing.
Man. Love the energy.
Yeah, that's like the best part of people, right? You get a lot of people on, like, and they're very to themselves, right? They're not like out there. They're not pushing. These everyone we've talked to today has been, energy's been so high, and I think that's because of Arch.
Yeah, I mean, and the interest and the education, the passion, it really shows, and it's great to see a lot of these VCs and investment companies have people who have the technical knowledge. You can tell it's not just, hey, we're just giving money, and we invest in all these other things, but these guys are Bitcoin based, right? I mean, that's awesome to see.
Yeah, 100%. Bitcoin's got the energy again, man. I'm feeling it, bro. I'm feeling that 2023 feeling again. I'm excited. But let's bring our next guest in. Let's bring in Hex. Hex, man, thank you so much for being here, man. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Brent is such a legend. The DPI guys are the best. So glad that he's come out of the woodwork finally, because DPI is a fund that, we've dealt with a lot of funds now, and they're like some of the most helpful people we've ever had the pleasure of engaging with. So yeah, much love to Brent out there. Hopefully he's still listening.
100%, man. And when you talk about Arch, you can't not talk about Saturn and what you guys are building there. Could you give a quick breakdown for anyone who doesn't know what Saturn is?
Yeah, so I put a tweet out the other day, and I think it encapsulates it quite perfectly. Which is like, if you want to see what Arch is capable, go on Saturn. I think for a lot of people, like the whole meta protocol, and you kind of get lost in a lot of the verbiage around the technology, and you kind of lose sight on what it really offers. What it offers is just a seamless user experience on Bitcoin. We're talking transactions that feel as quick as Solana. There's no need to know about UTXO management, block timings, anything. It's just a simple DEX as you'd expect to use it on any high-performant L2, except it's on the base layer of Bitcoin. And I think Brent is onto something when he talks about kind of like the end game here of sorts. And if you can make Bitcoin work, like, this is a vampire attack on the rest of the industry. And I think that there's something quite biblical in that. And I think there's a lot of people that feel a great sense of responsibility there. And so, yeah, Saturn, I think, is just like the perfect embodiment of what Arch is capable of. So yeah, we function as a few things. For people that are familiar with the Solana ecosystem, we function both as Jupiter and as Radian, being able to provide LPs, but also having really good swaps with the best slippage options, the best performance. And that's just because it's an early ecosystem. It is quite nice. I have to say, I am feeling quite liberated this week a bit of a Nate Diaz moment. I'm not surprised. For the longest time, people, I think, kind of wrote off Arch and wrote off Runes, wrote off Bitcoin, because they just didn't quite realize what it was capable of. And now, as people kind of see the fundraise being announced the other day, I think people's eyes are opening to there's some serious people paying attention to this. It's very, very cool. There's a lot of momentum right now.
Yeah, man.
Nice. Hey, I just started playing around with Saturn wallet, man. It's pretty sleek on the testnet. I think it's going to be a good deal. I can't wait till you guys go live. Do you have any idea when that's going to happen?
We're in the process at the moment. Arch is getting audited right now. We're getting audited at the moment. Main thing is making everything is completely watertight. But since then, we've just been making optimizations. We pushed a huge update this week that integrates the Titan indexer. For any would-be builders out there as well, we have the Titan indexer that can index Rune transactions at the speed of Arch. And that's how we can achieve like these like sub-millisecond transaction feelings in Saturn. And that can be applied to any application on Arch. So any application building on Arch right now can have that same kind of responsiveness. The Titan indexer is completely free, completely open source, so you're free to use that as well. We've also built out our Oracle now, which gets us towards provable decentralization for Saturn, so people can kind of see everything out in the open. That's also going to be open source shortly. And yeah, we've been moving along. We've got 2 fun product updates coming next week as well. But yeah, main thing is just making sure all of the smart contracts are watertight. I mean, I think Dan did a good job of saying this about kind of like gritty founders that are willing to get something like this over the line. I think it's easy to overlook how much does go into this. I mean, not only have you got to make the impossible happen, you've also got to build a whole new tech stack and then smart contracts on top of it, and also make sure that's completely watertight, because there's, like you said, there's going to be a lot of institutional money pouring into this, and we just can't risk any upsets. So yeah, it's a lot going into this at the moment. But yeah, we are aligned. We want mainnet as soon as possible, but as soon as we are certain it's safe to do so, that's when we will do.
Yeah, 100%. Couldn't agree more, man. Saturn's definitely going to be the pillar, and we're hearing, you know, we're actually hearing for the first time Arch VM. Right, I haven't really heard that up until this point. Arch VM is awesome. I'd love to kind of maybe kind of get into that a little bit, and then maybe kind of get a little bit deeper into the Titan indexer and why you open sourced it.
So I mean, like we saw a huge potential in Arch, obviously early on, and I mean we've always been getting towards what we hope to be like the gold standard of trading on Bitcoin long before Arch. I mean, this was when we were like a rare Satoshi order book. This is when we were first kind of toying with the ideas about what fungible tokens on Bitcoin could really even look like. And yeah, we spent a long time thinking about what were the potential routes, and Arch was just clearly the best route for us. But they're a new team. There's a whole new ecosystem. There's so many moving parts to go into this. So we made a big effort to kind of get as close as we could to the Arch team. And Marcos, our dev, even flew out and coded with Amin for a couple of weeks as well, just to kind of like make sure he was as legit as he seemed. Fortunately, he did come back as good news. And yeah, since then, like we knew we could deliver a really good product, and we knew that Arch can also deliver on their tech promises. What we didn't know is, can we sell everyone else on this dream? Can we sell other builders on this dream? And part of that journey is making it as easy as possible to build on Arch. So that's why Marcos also built the SDK for Arch. We've also made the Titan indexer as well. So new teams don't have to spend obscene amounts of money on RPC providers. They have a free indexer they can use. And yeah, just want to make that onboarding experience as easy as possible. I mean, even our moderators have gone above and beyond and are communicating some of the newer tech things into just easy to read documentation. And I mean, we're in chats with 7-8 different teams at the moment, just going through documentation that we've written to help other people build on Arch. So it's, and that's, we spoke about this a couple of weeks back, Shizzy, about how Bitcoin this cycle has been a little bit kind of crabs in a bucket-esque, with everyone kind of wanting to take their own protocol or token design or idea in a million different directions. And there hasn't really been that kind of builder camaraderie that we saw in like early success stories like Solana. But in Arch, we have that at the moment, and it's really, really special. And I think that's kind of a lot of the motivation behind their recent campaigning or their marketing campaigning that Nick's been putting together, and he's done a fantastic job of going back to like these early 90s startup cultures. And there's something very romantic about that real gritty builder mentality when you're still in the garage trying to make the dream happen. And Arch is the only place that you still can get that right now in crypto. And that's really, really special. So, I mean, Arch in Dubai next week is going to be amazing. That's the first Genesis event of Arch. And yeah, I mean, if like Brent says, if Arch is the end game of crypto, the Genesis event in Dubai next week is going to be quite special. Like, I think like the photos there that people are taking and the people that go, the memories that are made. If this all plays out as we hope that's going to be a pretty legendary week. So yeah, I mean, feels really cool to be where we're at the moment.
Yeah, man, that's incredible. It's gonna be crazy out in Dubai, man. I hope you guys have some fun too. I know you guys it'll be a work trip for you. You gonna be out there?
I'll be out there. Yeah. I'm not
Yeah.
sure how much fun we'll be having, but I mean, there's so much to do at the moment. But yeah, it'd be cool.
100%.
I think it's 36 degrees there at the minute at 4 a.m. in the morning. So as a British guy, I don't know how well I'm going to deal with that.
Yeah, 100%, man. But I'd love to give you the stage one last time. Thank you so much for your time, man.
Yeah, I mean, as always, Shizzy and Derik, good to meet you, by the way, Derik. Thanks for having us. You guys do a fantastic job. Like ourselves, you kind of saw the vision of Arch long before anyone else. So I think you'll enjoy the spotlight over the next few months. For anyone that's interested in Arch from a builder perspective, please reach out to me or anyone else in the Arch team. You can DM the Saturn account. We're here to help. There's funding on standby. There's a whole ecosystem to build, and you'd be surprised how many opportunities there are still to be found here. So the door is wide open for anyone that kind of wants to make an impact. So yeah, please feel free to reach out. And aside from that, yeah, I mean, just enjoying the good times, and hopefully we can keep this momentum going and mainnet as soon as possible.
Hey, Hex, before you go, man, are there any plans for a platform token?
Well, we are doing an incentivized farming at the moment. That's as much as I can say at the moment, and there will be progressions of that. So, yeah, take that as you will. But I think the people that have been helping us out in testnet are going to be some happy users.
You heard them, guys. Use the testnet.
Alpha.
Be a happy user. Thanks so much, Hex.
Yeah, cheers, Shizzy. Cheers, Zach. See ya.
All right, thanks.
Absolutely awesome. Nick, you still there? Maybe not, but that's been absolutely awesome, man. Really appreciate you, Derik, man. Really helping me out today. I couldn't have done this without you today. It was a long show and long grind, man, but
Awesome.
absolutely amazing, man. I'll have to give you the stage one last time for some last words for you, man.
Well, I know today, man, I left the show very bullish on Arch Network. So I'll definitely go dig into that a little bit more, learning about some of the institutional stuff, man, because that's so important. But yeah, I mean, look, we're in a very instrumental phase right now, right? We're looking at all these political events playing out. And, if you're bullish on Bitcoin, man, I think this is a good place to keep stacking and adding to your bags. I'm in the trenches, every day, man. So if you guys want to, connect with me, follow me on Twitter. I'm at Derik Screen. I'm continuing to connect and build with people. Love to connect and build with you guys. And I'll be in Vegas at Bitcoin 2025. Love to connect with some of you guys on some of the side events, man. So let's chop it up, man, and, continue to build together. It's going to be a great Q3, Q4 2025. And I want all of us to win, man. So let's get it. Thanks, Shizzy.
100%. No problem, man. And we met each other in Bitcoin Nashville. So, Bitcoin Las Vegas is going to be insane, man. But again, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate your time.
Hey, thank you.
See you, bud.
All right.
Absolutely amazing, guys. Really appreciate it. We got 683 people in here right now. Appreciate every single one of you guys, man, mainly over on X, but it's been absolutely awesome. And if you guys have some time, wouldn't mind checking out our partners, definitely want to check out Emblem Vault. Emblem Vault, they're building the AI product of Solana. I mean, they're building, in my opinion, the top one. They're competing with the likes of Hey A9 and Orbit and a lot of those guys. But Agent Hustle, if you haven't checked them out yet, you definitely need to. You can actually do some really, really amazing things with him. He'll actually scan the pump fund for you and find you the best tokens. He's absolutely awesome. Go check out agenthustle.ai and then BetBTC. They are building a predictions market on ICP right now. They're actually building it every day. These guys are building, and you guys can go check that out at betbtc.win. Right now, their site is very normal, but in the future, they're going to be adding something pretty incredible, which is you're able to bet with friends, make challenges for your friends, something way different than what you see on Polygon. They are building something really, really special. And then make sure you guys are checking out Artura.finance. Artura, they're going to be on mainnet on Hemi really, really soon. And it is going to be awesome because not only are they going to do an airdrop, but there's a possibility of Hemi doing one too. Hemi is actually backed by Binance. So that's a token that you might try and get. I mean, I'll be using some low leverage and some low money over on there when they first start. But guys, I want you guys to go all the way over there and check out Artura.finance. Check out Fluid Tokens as well. Fluid tokens, they're building staking on Bitcoin. They're actually building DeFi on Bitcoin. They're not waiting for Arch, right? You can actually go there and you can stake your assets and earn yield on them today. And they're possibly building on Arch as well. They're building, they have something going on Stacks. These guys are builders. You guys are UTXO builders. They are some of the top builders in this place. Raul has been just absolutely killing it. Every meeting with them they just blow my mind of the stuff that they're building. Guys, go check out fluidtokens.com and then check out Merlin Chain. Merlin Chain, they're building the Wizard, another AI project. I think every project right now has an AI type of strategy right now. And Merlin, they just did that big thing with Wrap Bitcoin that we were talking about earlier, where Jeff is going to be one of the signers on that. So that is absolutely amazing. Guys, go check out everything at merlinchain.io. And then our integrated partners, we got Foxy. They're actually getting ready to do something huge. Collaboration and stuff like that. They're not just one game. They're going to be multiple games. They're going to be an entire genre of crypto Web3 games. So you can check them out at foxy.co. And then Ordinal Hive. Ordinal Hive, they're really doing really awesome stuff. They're actually building one of the fastest aggregators of ordinals. You're going to buy an ordinal, make sure you guys are going to beta.ordinalhive.io first, because that is where you're going to find the cheapest place and you can buy everything there. You can actually see the activity of every chain. It's absolutely awesome. Go check out ordinalhive.io. And guys, this has been absolutely awesome. But if you have one more minute and wouldn't mind checking out OnChain revolution.io, we have some of the best articles dating all the way back to last year. If you know someone just entering the space, please send them to our website. We got some of the new stuff here. Bitcoin tokens are taking the stage. Magic Eden acquires Slingshot. Go check out this article, brand new. And if you guys need a VPN, we have the number one VPN that I use. That is NordVPN, guys. No one should be using the internet without a VPN. Nobody should be using the internet without a VPN, guys. You guys need a VPN and make that Nord. You can get a 70% off coupon using our link here. It's $3 a month. I think I paid $36 for the year. Check it out here at our website. And then Bitcoin 2025, Las Vegas. You heard Derik say it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting, but do not wait till May to get your tickets. Get them as soon as possible. They go up every Friday. Tomorrow, they'll probably be more expensive than they are today. So if you're looking to get tickets, get them through our website. They got festival passes, industry pass. Industry pass is a little bit more expensive, but it's the one that I like because you can see that first day gets you all 3 days. It's absolutely amazing. Check out everything here at onchainrevolution.io. If you need merch for that event or any event, click our store tab. We got shirts, jackets, hats, all done through a third-party Shopify. We add the logos, but you guys can check out everything here on the website, onchainrevolution.io. And guys, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. And until tomorrow, peace.
OnChain revolution, roll call, market recap. You're not bullish enough, no. You're not bullish enough, no. Look at the price go, Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear traps. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction. OnChain.